Hello, beautiful people.
I don't know who all here. I don't see the chat room this time around. Do you have that up?
I do.
Actually, let me go into there on this.
Just gonna mute everyone else. Alrighty. That's weird. It's trying to let Darren in, and it's. I don't know what's going on with them. Hey guys, hope you had a great week trading last week. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Kevin and I put together several stocks to run through, setups that we like. To start off the meeting, he's just gonna give you a quick 10-minute overview of his screen setup and how he trades the Strat. And then we'll jump pretty quickly into setups and going over that to help you guys get prepared for tomorrow. So if you wanna just kind of review what you got up on your screen, how you use it, all that good stuff, Kevin, that would be fantastic.
Yep, sure. So right now I'm using Thinkorswim just because it's so customizable. Like I've added all of these labels up here. This was all mostly my doing. And I added these labels down here. So the way I have this laid out, I always have the cues up. So over here in the upper left-hand corner, because I like to trade the tech names. So as you know, when you're doing the tech stuff, if you want to, they tend to go in lockstep with the cues. So I always have the cues up in the upper left. And then this window here is for the monthly. And then this one's the daily. The one over here is the weekly. Bottom left is the hourly. And then we have the 15-minute. And I also have some volume profile POC things on that one. And then the 5-minute and then the 30.
Perfect.
So what I do with these is I usually have on the daily, I have my major labels up here. So I have like the quarter, month, week, and day. And these are set so they change based on the continuity. So if price is above the opening price, it'll switch to green. If it's below, it'll turn red. And then I added this to the end of each of those time frames so I would know what the opening price was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to know when there's continuity change, like when has there been a change in continuity. So by putting that there, now all I have to do is look up there and it'll be there.
That's beautiful.
And then I have the ATR on there because I want to know like when has it reached its ATR for the day, because it may or may not want to go any further.
Right.
And then at the end, I have actually the last 3 daily candles. So this would be like 3 days ago. The middle one is yesterday. And then the last one is today.
Oh, that's cool.
So that way, without even looking at the chart, I can just look up there and I know what the pattern is right away.
Awesome.
So I usually like to trade with full time frame continuity or pretty close to it. If there's too much conflict, I'm a little hesitant to get in unless the setup on the screen is really nice.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to be full time frame continuity, but I try to get it as close as I can. I mean, at the very least, I want the day and the hour to match.
Yes, agreed.
So let me just give you just a brief background. I've been trading full time for about 3 years. Like I don't have any other job. I used to be an IT guy. I was a programmer for 20 plus years. And, but what I found before I discovered the Strat is that I would just overthink everything to the point where I would just talk myself out of every single trade.
You did that too, huh?
Oh yeah. I would find some reason with all the stuff I had on my screen. I would find some reason why, I can't take this trade.
Yep. I think that's normal.
And before you know it, by 1 o'clock, I hadn't done anything. Like I have the exact opposite problem that most people have. Most people, like I think was Anthony from the first.
Mm-hmm.
He said he like 9:30 hits, he's hitting the buttons. like I am like super patient, like too patient.
Gotcha.
So when I learned about the Strat, I said, oh, thank God, finally something that'll allow me to quickly decide if it's something I should be taking. And it removes all of that overthinking.
Yes, kind of.
So yeah, exactly. So the first thing you notice when you learn the Strat is you start looking at the spots where that signal is supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And you notice, wait a minute, it's not taking off right away. It's supposed to, but it's not. it's going up and down and in and out. And then you're like, well, geez, I don't know what this is about now, because it's supposed to go right away, but it doesn't seem to be.
Yes.
So that's when all the soul searching starts, and all you thinking, well, am I doing something wrong? Am I looking at the wrong stuff? Is the pattern wrong? And I spent probably a year and a half in that stage trying to make sure that I knew what I was supposed to be doing and was I doing it right. And eventually you just kind of say, you know what? This is the way it is. It's not going to, a lot of the time, it's not going to take off right away. And you just have to accept that fact and move through it.
Yes. And it's hard because I think we all want that holy grail that, 92.6% of the time works when you pull the trigger. This is about
Exactly.
as close as you're going to get, but
So I think
not every.
the quicker people can get to that place where you realize, hey, you know what? This is trading. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple all the time. It can be very messy. And even Rob will say, like, this isn't, some days you're going to get chopped up, some days you won't.
Yes.
So that's where I'm coming from. So
We're on the same page for sure.
So I hear some beeping. I don't know if there's some questions or what.
You hear beeping. That's weird. I don't hear any.
Maybe that's, it's Discord. I'm going to close out of Discord. I guess it was me. All right. So this is the list that we had. So here's Apple. Oh, by the way, when I do my watch list, I have all this stuff up on the watch list. So you can tell it has quarter, month, week, day, and 60. So you can tell right away what the status of it is before you even go into it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you had a lot. I think you had Apple on the list, right?
I did, yeah. So I'd be looking for a break of the inside candle on the daily, but Apple's been pretty strong, My bias would be to the upside, but who knows how the markets are going to open tomorrow. So
I'll mark this up with Friday's high. And looks like the high of the week is already marked. So it's going to start off inside week by the looks of it.
Yep.
So if it wants to break Friday's high, and it may actually be that right now in after hours, I don't know. So let's see. That's Thursday's high. So we already have we already had a triangle expando there. I guess I have to adjust this.
Broadening formation.
Yep. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this down.
Someone was asking how our watch list differs. What I like to look for is typically an inside week or an inside day, so I can trade the break one way or the other. Kevin's got some other setups that he likes that we'll talk through, but for me, I kind of really like the inside candles, looking for those breaks. So
it's generally going to be like an inside day or an inside week,
right?
Or it could be an inside some sort of a rev strat. So it's like an inside candle, 2 down or 2 up, followed by the reversal.
Exactly.
So basically, it looks like with Apple, we've got an inside day. So this is just going to be a straight break of the inside day.
Over 122.76, it looks like, right?
Yep.
Initial magnitude would be up to 123.87. Again, when you guys are trying to figure out magnitude, you always look left for your targets.
Yep. So magnitude would be the high of Thursday's high. So, and then you have actually the high of the day before that too. So yep. It could potentially be the weekly high of last week.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I like about inside on the weekly. You've potentially got some more magnitude built in on those types of trades.
And Apple could easily do that whole thing in one day.
Sure, absolutely. And what's the height of that 3 candle, the next target up. What's that number, Kev?
Well, hang on. Let me see. What is the high of that? 125.95. So that's cool. It ended as a hammer. So that'll be good.
It is, yeah. So that's a potential sign that buyers came and sucked it up off that horizontal line that you've gotten there. It's pretty decent.
Yep.
Bottom of the triangle formation.
Yep. So
Room
that's
to
coming
move
off the
up.
bottom. So
Yep.
we're not in the middle of the triangle. So that could potentially be a dangerous place to get in, but this would be basically a daily signal right off the bottom.
Exactly. So that's the kind of trade, you know, for me, if it, let's say it gaps up to, I don't know, 123 overnight. Or even higher, let's say 123.50. What I generally do then, if I'm looking for that entry, is, well, a couple things. One, you can look at the 60-minute time frame. As soon as that goes green, you can get in. I like to watch the faster time frames to get in on my first dip the toe in the water position. So in that situation, if it gapped up, I would wait for a little triangle day out, back down before I jumped in. It's hard to say what Apple will do, but how do you typically get in on those trades, Kev?
Well, I know. I mean, you hear Rob and Sarah and a bunch of the others talk, and if it gaps, that negates the setup in their mind. So I know why they say that. They say that because if it's gapping, then you don't have the stops being taken out anymore. And it could be by the time it opens that everybody's going to be done, and that's the end of it.
It could be, yeah, depending on the gap. Gaps can be tricky. I mean, depending on how strong they are. Typically, I find if a stock is strong, though, even if it gaps up, it's going to continue that movement upwards. But I never, in case of a big gap up, I don't want to get in just on that. I want to wait for it to do a triangle layout on a faster time frame and then continue to move up.
So the first thing I would do is I would look at the hourly candle from the previous day. So the last candle on Friday was a 2.
Which ones are
So
hourly up there?
this is the hourly in the bottom
That's the
left-hand
hour.
corner.
Yeah. You can see it a lot more clearly, the continuity of price action on those larger time frames.
So I would look to see what the last candle was, and if we got a 2 up at the open, you could hit it right there if you wanted to. I mean, that's not our, where is it, 122.76. So it would have to come all the way up here to do a daily break.
Right.
But you know what? I don't always want to take the daily signal because I'd prefer to have a lower time frame signal happen first. That way it would trigger the higher ones.
Yes.
So
Yep,
if we
that's
get
the way
like a
I would
5-minute or a 15-minute signal prior to the daily break, I would want in there. And then once the daily broke, you could add. So
Yep, perfect. And when you guys get into trades, you never want to put your whole, at least I don't put my whole position, unless it's an amazing setup. I don't put the whole position on at one time. You know, put part of it on, see if it's working, and you can add on a triangle layout. Is that how you typically do it, Kevin, or are there some trades you go full bore?
I kind of wanted to talk about that here because I'm kind of having an issue with all this right now. I'm mostly a scalper. I like to see like the daily signals break for me to participate first, or the weekly, like a weekly 2 up. Like those are like, that's what has to happen before I'll get involved. But then once I'm in, I'm usually in and out within like 50 cents to $1.
Sure.
So I'm having a little trouble with this whole mindset of the strat that we're supposed to have, where you get in really small on your initial entry. And Rob always says, if it's really going to work, you'll have plenty of chances to add. But in most of my experience, I've never really been able to add much.
The market hasn't been overly great for that lately. You know, I really feel we've been kind of sideways, up and down. Yes, again, there are certain stocks that have moved a lot, but the intraday trading has been a little tough. That's my opinion on it. So I don't blame you for getting in and taking your profit. I've done a lot of that myself.
And I think he's been saying the last couple of weeks that this market isn't really the kind of market where you're going to be able to just add. It's mostly an in and out kind of market.
Yeah, my trades have been fairly quick too. But
So
I don't like going in both sides either, you know.
So I just pulled up Baba. This one looks like it might be a short.
That could be kind of rallying back up to that trend line right there. So it could be a.
Interesting. It's actually not too far from turning the week and the month green. So this is kind of how you want to think about when you're looking at a chart. You want to see like, where is the opening price for the month and the week? Where is it currently? What is it going to take for it to get there and turn it green? So we're actually not very far away at all. 265.47. Yeah, it could do it pretty much at the open on tomorrow.
Yep.
And once it does, it will turn all this green. So you would have full time frame continuity to the upside. So that would be an inside and up on the daily. And by the looks of it,
Weekly's inside too.
weekly's inside. So that's the high of last week. That's the previous week. And the week before that. Wow, there's a lot of room for this to go.
There's some good upside on it. It's a good magnitude.
Do you trade this one a lot, Jen?
I don't. I mean, tomorrow it might be. I like the setup enough with the inside week and the inside day that it may be something I'd look at. I don't trade Baba very often. I know one of my buddies, Chris, trades it almost every day. How about you? Do you trade?
No, I've never traded it, but
Yeah,
I know that I
can
think
move.
Sarah does.
Yeah.
Like I have a watch list here that I did. If I can find it. So I watched her Benzinga video and I lifted all her tickers from.
Sure.
Just because I agree with her thinking, is like she wants to have a universe of stocks that she follows and tracks all the time.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, well, let me grab all her tickers and take a look and see if I'm interested. And I thought Baba was on here, but I don't really see it. Yeah, there it is. Yep. So, all right. So basically a break of 265.32.
To the upside, yeah. And on the weekly, what are we looking at? 268.40?
Yep. 268.40 on the week. So that would turn it 2 up on the week. Okay, so the only downside to this is you don't want, by the middle of the month, you don't want a tiny doji on the month, which is what we have here.
Right.
And the weeks have been dojis too. So we're kind of, which would make sense since the month is. So there's that, something to consider.
You know, I always struggle with some of those
Rules that he has.
does. Yeah, just because anything could happen, right? Like it could totally take back off and go back to the top of that toucan. I mean, maybe that's just an experience thing. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, all the things he says about like, well, you have mother bar issues, or it's a doji by Wednesday, or like the daily is a doji by noon. As the day goes on, you don't want to be watching anything that's a doji.
And I understand that during the course of the day, you know, just so much of it depends on what Baba is ready to do the next couple of weeks.
Granted, you look at the last 2 weeks, it doesn't look great.
No, but then again, when you see a lot of consolidation, sometimes the more you see of that, the more it's ready to bust out. I don't know if that'll hold true or not. I guess we'll have to see how she looks in the morning, you know.
If that wants to break out though, you could get a huge move out of that.
Yeah,
All right, so BAC, I think that's Bank of America.
correct.
Nice. So that's a 2-2. That's a 2 down, and it ended as a hammer.
Yep.
Let's see. What do we think about this? So let's put Friday's high there. I'm gonna add that one and that one, and let's just go up here too. So what is this week? What does my data box say? 29.25 is the high of the week from last week. But an entry would get you in at 28.75.
Oh, off the daily?
Off the daily. And that would be a 2-2 reversal.
Yes.
And we do have some magnitude here. Okay. The only problem is if you take this tomorrow, you're going to have red month and red week. You might have green day and green hour.
Yeah, so there's conflict, time frame.
You're going to have some conflict there. But you've heard Rob say that if quarter, month, and week are red, but day and 60 is green, he doesn't know where the sellers are.
Right.
So that I hear that in my head all the time as I'm trading. So I'm like, okay, well, it's in conflict, but day and the 60 are green. I'm good.
So Rob Cleary's asking possible short for BAC. Yes, I mean, it could go either way, right? Like, we don't know how the markets are going to open tomorrow. And that's why, you know, on something like this, I like looking for a break at the inside candle. I mean, BAC is not a huge mover, so it may be that this thing's a dud and doesn't go anywhere, you know?
Yeah, like look, 68 cents is the ATR.
Yeah, it's not a huge mover. What I tried to do were find stocks because everybody's got different size accounts. So I tried to find some things that are at everyone's price point.
Trying to just look at some of these. Sometimes you see a better setup on the lower time frame.
Yep.
Let's see, what did it do Friday anyway? Pretty much sold off with the market before it came back up. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. It did a 1-2 on the hourly. I like that. 28.59. Yeah, that might get me involved if that broke above this hourly near the open. That would give you a inside, down, and back up. So there's a rev strat.
Yeah, and I like the, you know, if you get up that 28.75, then you get into a gap area. I mean, it's got some potential. Which one's the monthly? That's the.
You want me to put
The high on the month would be 29.43.
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué ha-
I think I got everybody
Are we good?
muted, so we don't hear little kids screaming in the background.
All right. So
All right.
I don't know what you heard. I was giving the high of the month.
Yeah.
29.43.
29.43.
Yeah, you're right. So what is this? This is back here. 28.75 would have been the pivot where the gap would start to be filled. More than likely, if I took this trade, I would be out of it long before it did that. So I want to show, like on the 5-minute chart. Say I took this. Can you guys see my mouse cursor?
Yeah.
Right here. Say I took this 2-2 reversal right there.
Yep.
as soon as it started working, I would be putting my stop just below where the price is. I
Sure.
don't give it a lot of room. I'm constantly moving my stop up. So
I
as it
don't either,
goes,
to be honest. I mean,
like once it starts to go, I'm like, I've seen these things dump so fast on me that
yep,
it would turn a green trade into a red trade.
yep.
So by the time this went inside here, I might be in it, I might not, because sometimes it'll move quite a bit in there. It could have actually taken me out before it even got to that inside.
Yep.
So I would love to be in it through this whole move up, but maybe I'm too aggressive with my stop. I don't know. I'm still working on that.
I've been really trying to trust. I did, out. Shut the door. Shut the door. Oh my goodness. My husband's sitting in the other room. Do you think he could? So I've been trying to trust a little bit more what I see on the higher time frames, but it's hard in this market. It really is. There's still a lot of goofy things going on in the background with COVID and weirdness with the election. I think that might be over, but there's just a lot going on. It's not a clear path. Like if you had bought at the bottom of that sell-off, boy, I wish I was a member of the Strat when that happened, huh? Back in May.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But we'll get those opportunities because now we're aware of them.
it's ironic because his Friday night video he did with us on the Discord,
Yeah,
he was talking about how, oh, well, if you didn't know the Strat back in March, too bad, it was a multi-decade event, but now that you know, you can move forward. But I knew the Strat back then, but I wasn't really focused on it exclusively.
yeah. And you said you had trouble trusting it at first.
Oh yeah, I just because I would see how it would act around the signal area, and I said
Yes,
this whole concept of doing battle, I have a really hard time with it.
I do at times too, because how much battle's too much, and
I
when.
know. So
And
it's
I
like
think it's
everybody says it's supposed to work right away, and if it doesn't, there's some participant that you don't know about. Well,
right.
every signal I see, it doesn't take off right away. So I'm either doing something really wrong or this is just the way it is. So I don't know. It's a constant battle in my head about all this.
Hey, Kev, pull up XLF real quick just to. Rob had it in his weekend video, but sometimes in his videos he really doesn't tell you too much. He just kind of looks at it and goes, nothing really happening, But yeah,
So
that looks.
what did he say in the video? Do you remember?
It wasn't anything notable that I remember,
Huh. Well,
To me, that looks like it could have a nice.
I like the chart.
Yes.
I mean,
Looks
it
like
was an inside
BAC.
week last week, so there's that. Like ideally, you'd want it to be above this before you got in, but by the time it does that, there's no more magnitude.
Right. Again, not a huge mover here, but these kind of trades too, I think some of the small, like a BAC, buying a few options on that or a few shares for people in the room to test out some of the longer ideas. It's something you can do with real small size because eventually, as Rob always says, I want to be in longer plays. I've tried a few of them lately and so far they've worked. And it's such it takes your stress level down a lot to know that you don't have to be sitting there spazzing out over every 5-minute candle.
Like you said, it might help if don't go in with gigantic size and
Right.
try to swing it for 2 or 3 days and see how it goes. And just get your comfort level up holding longer term. So I added this to the watch list. This is C Day, Charlie, David, Apple, Yolanda.
And so someone was saying BAC looks like a short play. I mean, that may or may not be true because if you look at the weekly, yeah, I mean, it's down last week.
Yeah,
But
you're right. It could go 2 down. There's probably more magnitude to the downside than the upside. So 28.30 would be your short signal. And that could potentially be
right, the break of the week.
Shooter counters hammer kind of scenario.
And you could, I mean, not a huge mover. You got this little doji candle at the top of the range. That's the only other thing I would say, you know, it's closer to the top of that range, but that could change. A lot of this with the new week is you really got to see how things are going to open up and where we're headed.
You know, you said not a huge mover, but that actually might be a good thing. If you're new to the strat and you just
agree.
want to be in it and be comfortable, if it isn't going to be whipping around on you, you might be better off sitting in something like a BAC.
I agree. It's so dang cheap. I mean, you can buy a few shares and not sweat it out.
All right, so let's move on. C day. I don't know if I necessarily really love this one, but it's got a doji on the week. It ended green. It's up near the top of the week. It already did a 2-2 reversal on the daily, and it went 3-2-2.
Yep.
So I would be looking for a continuation on this one, a break of 98.26. And it's got really good range. The ATR is $3.18.
I wonder what the options look like on that. I've never traded it, but it's cheap enough. You could just buy the stock.
If I'm not mistaken. I think this name comes up on a lot of Stratter's lists. I don't
Does
see
it?
I don't see it on Sarah's watch list, but I recognize the name. Maybe Darren and I have done scans and came up with this one before. All right, not much else to say about this. I mean, it has some
No.
range it can go through. I'm not even going to bother drawing the broadening formation. You can see it right here.
Yep.
And this is how you're going to get with a strat eventually. You just look back and see, all right, well, where's the range? Well, it's right here. And it's kind of in the middle of it. So we got to, if you're thinking your old technical analysis days, we've got kind of a pennant forming over the last couple weeks. So, all right, let's keep going. Looks like eBay was one of your names. What did you like about that?
I was thinking possible pivot machine gun down. If you look on that, there's quite a bit of green it could take out to the downside there.
Oh yeah, and it's been just marching its way down too.
It has, yeah.
So let's put, I'm just going to stick it on both sides. Oh. And we do have full time frame continuity to the downside. So a break of Friday's low would also be a 2 down on the week.
48.67 is that?
Yep. And what was the POC on Friday? 48.90-ish? Yep.
Looks like, yeah.
So that would act as sort of resistance for it.
Absolutely. And you see, we'll have to see how the volume by price chart looks tomorrow. But if you look at your chart there, Kev, it's kind of fascinating to me how it works. And you see it came in and filled on the PLC chart, that gap that kind of cupped back in more towards the right. Do you see how there's kind of a big space on the volume bars at the bottom? Right there.
Right here?
Where it went,
Yep.
Yeah, where it went 2 down, and then 2-2 reversal back up.
Yep. Yep.
One of the things that I found with point of control that's a fabulous setup is because it'll show you the range pre-market. So when at the open, I'll have it up with pre-market on, so I have an idea where the range is. So that's even a better example. You see how it opens.
See that C?
And there's that orange line, I'm assuming is your point of control. And as soon as it went in there, it went and filled that whole gap, that cup, kind of that hole in the volume.
I don't know if you can follow my cursor, but there's a C right there.
When you see a setup like that, I mean, as far as looking, and volume by price isn't really an indicator per se, because it shows you where the buyers and sellers are, and it's real time, it's not lagging. When you see something like that at the top of the range and a big kind of hole in the volume by price, those setups work 9 times out of 10. It's unreal. They really do.
Yeah, after you gave your presentation and then we watched Anthony last week, I've been
Mhm.
I put this on my chart and I've really been watching it. And a lot of my trades lately are working to the letter based on where the POC is.
It's insane. I mean, as far as things that I've found to help you know when to get into a strat trade, this has saved me from getting into some trades that wouldn't have worked. And I understand why they wouldn't have worked now, because when you look at where the buyers and sellers are,
Yep.
it tells you, you know. So it's real powerful. I mean, if you haven't used it, don't go out and start trading it right away. Do like Kevin did and like I did in the beginning. I just sat there for a couple months and watched it and said, okay, what happens and what's going on? How does price react to it?
I don't know who said it. I don't know if Anthony said it or you did or who, but like the institutions, like that's why volume profile works, because the institutions are the ones that are moving the price, not you and I. We have no
Right.
power to move the price. They're
That's right.
moving it. They can't hide.
That's right.
Like this shows exactly where they are. This was the most volume for the day right there on that red line. And this is the one for Friday. Or I'm sorry, that looks like Wednesday. And this one was Thursday. But that moves during the day as you watch it. You'll watch, if
It
you put
does.
this on your chart, you'll see it move.
It's odd. Sometimes, depending on the stock and what's going on, sometimes that range is preset pre-market. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it expands throughout the day. But that point of control in conjunction with,
So
just like,
you know how very often the institutions are going to move it to a certain place before they dump it the
yes,
rest of the day, or
yep,
they dump it at the open and then they buy it back up.
yes,
If you
yep,
look to see where the POC was in pre-market, where they buy it up or sell it off at the open tends to be where that POC was in pre-market.
it really does. Yeah. All right, what do we got next here?
So I just pulled up FCX. So Frank, Charlie, Xavier. I think
Freeport.
this is a metal.
It is, yeah,
Yeah. You
copper.
know what? Kramer talks about this one a lot, or used
He
to.
does, yeah. Freaking Kramer, he's so annoying. God.
Yeah, he talks about that one a lot. Okay, so another low ATR one. This one has about a 88-cent move per day. But yeah, it looks like it has a tendency to sell off and then get bought right back up every day.
And I was looking at that inside week, I believe, on it. Let's see here.
So yeah, looks like the week.
So it's been much, much higher too. So that's one that got pretty beaten up, but still has room to move. And so far it's 2 up green on the month.
Yeah, based on all these bottom wicks on this thing, I don't think I would want to short this.
Mm-mm.
They look like they all get bought up.
And once again, this is one that if you want to try and play a longer term deal, you can do it with something like this and not get killed if it goes against you.
Yeah, because it's not going to move a lot. But yeah, I like that. There is some magnitude here.
If you look left, longer term, there's some real magnitude back up, you know.
I don't think I have my weeks going out far enough. Seems like it's. What am I looking at here?
It was high as 60 at one point.
Oh, I must not have it going back far enough to see that. Yep. Oh, wow. $3.52 back here in 2016.
Yeah. Well, even if
Wow.
you bought it, what? over this.
March
Yeah, I
of
mean, look how
this
dirt
year.
cheap it was. That's crazy. I want to get into some of those longer type of plays. I really do, because that's where you make the big money. Like Rob always says.
All right, so that's good. Let's go to the next one. GILD, Gilead.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a nod to the Handmaid's Tale, I guess.
Right.
So 60.81 would be the daily high, and that would give it a 2-2 reversal back up. Where did it close? Looks like 60.76. So it closed right near the high. You still hearing me okay? I heard a little robotic stuff.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can everyone hear? Okay, cool.
Okay. So the
Yeah,
weekly high is 61.70. So that would make the week 2.
right.
So that has a way to go for the weekly to be a 2. So more than likely we're going to open inside on the week. No, unless it gaps way up, it's going to open inside.
It's this GILD can be a little crazy. It's been somewhat subdued lately, but I just liked it with the inside week as a possible play in either direction. And if that breaks.
Okay. I just killed my Chrome process. I couldn't hear you at all a second ago.
Oh no.
Wow, I can't hear you at all.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No,
That's weird.
that's weird. I just assumed that was my recording software doing this, but I don't have that running right now. So this is clearly something else.
Can you hear me now or no?
No, it sounds very robotic to me.
Oh, that's so bizarre. Huh. It sounds robotic to everyone else too. Everyone else is saying they can hear both of us. Okay, that's odd.
Every other time this has happened, people say they can hear me just fine.
Yeah, no, I can hear you perfectly.
I'm going to pull up Discord because I can't see the chat in this either. I just pull this away. Okay, well, you know what? This may clear itself up on its own. I don't know, but
yeah, don't worry about it. You can just keep going through
I'll just keep going through the list.
round through the list.
So 2-2 reversal, 60.81. If it breaks that, that's great. Weekly high would be 61.70. Like as we just said, it has to be a 2. It would have to break above that, and it's got a long way to go. So I don't know if I'd be interested in taking anything to do with this.
I don't either. We'll have to see. I mean, these things can really move. So again, it's one of those deals that we'll have to see how we open up and where things go.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the next one. INTC. I already marked this up a little bit when I saw your list earlier. Weekly high is going to be 51.29. We had a pretty narrow range last week, so doesn't really have all that far to go. It ended as a hammer, so it was a 2-2. So yeah, I think I would be interested in this. 51 would turn the week green. Well, no, that's not true. Starting tomorrow, the day and the week are the same. So on Monday, whatever your daily, if price stays above the open on the day, the week is also going to be above the open because they're both the same on Monday and on Monday. So Tuesday's turnaround Tuesday. That's when things really change.
And I mean, this could go, if you look at the monthly, it could go 3 too. I mean, right now it doesn't look that way necessarily, but we'll have to see how she opens tomorrow.
Yeah, like if it wants to drop tomorrow, we could end up with going back inside the previous month here.
Yep.
So let's see, the low would be, oh, geez, I just put it in the wrong place. Okay, 49.12 is the low of the week. So depending how it opens tomorrow, it may want to dump through that, and then you've got all this magnitude.
Back down.
Little pivot machine gun action.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
pretty.
Look at that. Whew. Oh, you short sellers.
Mm.
Oh, I want to be a short seller. I really do. I'm just not in the habit of it.
So you don't sell short very often, huh?
I don't think I've done it in a year.
Really?
Yeah. It's not good.
And why is that? Just because you're always long bias, or?
Yeah, I'm always thinking it's going to go up, which I know isn't true.
See, and I tend to be kind of the other way, which is actually worse, but you know. I love shorting because the price action can be so violent and so fast.
Well, I've heard Jim talk about it, and he's I don't know if you've watched him on Facebook talk about this before, but like I posted something to there about this to the Strat group about how like I know that I need to be more rounded in how I trade. I can't, I make my living from this, so I can't just be focused on the long side. I'm leaving a ton of money on the table, and I know it. And he basically came in and was like, "Yeah, man, you got a short." And he's like, and he's basically like scolding the whole group on Facebook, saying, you guys, it's the same signals in the Strat, long and short. They're exactly the same. They don't move the same way, but the signals are the same. So it should be a no-brainer. You don't have to learn a new skill to do it.
Right.
So, I mean, the logic for shorting and going long is there. There's no reason not to. I mean, I know what people say, unlimited downside with shorting. But the way we trade, we're not gonna be in it long enough for there to be that much downside in terms of like losing your money. So what is that? Is that puts?
One's asking when would we get our put on that one on INTC? Is that what you're talking about? So on INTC, just pulling it up on my chart here. So I would probably, I'd want it to be below, what's that wick on the inside candle on the weekly, like 49.12.
Yeah, 49.12.
So I'd be looking to enter somewhere below 49.12 on Intel short.
Yeah, that's a huge mother bar on the weekly.
It is.
But on the flip side, there's a lot of range for it to go through.
Well, that's the thing. I understand the mother bar issues, but when there is range like that,
that's what you want.
Right. And we've got enough month left that could easily happen.
Yeah, that's the part I never really got when he would say when everybody says there's big mother bar issues. Yeah, but isn't that what we want? We want to trade off of a 3 because that's where the range is.
Agreed.
All right, so let's see. Are we good with Intel?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So
someone was asking what's a mother bar. So Ray, a mother bar, if we go back to it's like a 3 candle. So
well, this is a mother bar. It's a 2 in this case, but it's look how like here's the week. It's inside. It's inside all of this. So for any sustained move, it has to get outside of this. That's the way Rob talks anyway.
So a mother bar is kind of like an engulfing candle, be it a 2 or a 3. I guess that's another way you could say it.
Here's the monthly. See this? These are the big three right here.
Another mother bar.
Both of these candles are inside this. So he would say until price breaks out of this range, it's just going to chop around in here. We're just going to have price discovery inside until it breaks out of here. So that is also the problem we're going to have in 2021, because we had a 3 on the year for the overall market.
And that's a good point too, because on the monthly, you've got a compound 1 on the monthly.
Yep. So,
but that could turn red and then become an outside candle, the 1 on the monthly too. Anything's possible.
yeah, so when he starts talking mother bar issues, my mind kind of goes a little blank. I mean, I get the thinking, like you don't want to be chopped up. I understand that.
Right.
So like that's kind of what took me a year and a half to take the strat seriously and start really trying to just trade the strat.
Yeah, the monthly does look like a shooter too on the month. And that's what you see a potential failed 2 that Rob always talks about. Intel on the monthly is an example of how a 2 can fail and then go back through and turn into a 3 potentially.
All right, so let's see. KO. Okay, so weak is inside on KO, or at least it was inside. It's a hammer. The daily is a big 3 though. And where did it close? It closed at 53.35. So it closed near the top of this. So it looks like it's going to be inside this. Unless it gaps up, it's going to open inside.
Yeah, good. That's a pretty, Coke's another one that's fairly easy trader in that it doesn't generally move enough to kill you. It doesn't have huge range.
Looks like we have a gap to fill down here.
Yeah, and I'd like, looking at the weekly being inside.
Interesting. How far back is this? November 2nd.
That gap.
Yeah, I'm just looking to where that gap is. 50.24. Yeah, we're nowhere near getting to that. I mean, it has work to do before it could do that. You'd have to go below 52.70 first.
And what I'm looking at right now is more of a trade back up, but I guess once again, it depends how we open and so forth. Because the weeklies, even though it's a one down, technically it's a hammer with a long wick on the bottom. So,
well, given the fact that the day opened closer to the top than the bottom, I would be more interested in this for a long.
yeah, me too.
Well, what does Rob always say? What is the next 2? What will that create, negate, or do?
Or do, yeah.
So the only way you're going to know that is to look at the current candle and see where did it close, and then extrapolate where it might go from there. And if it closes closer to the top, it's going to be a long probably. If it closes closer to the bottom, it's probably going to be a short. So it'll be either a 2 up or a 2 down. All right, so we good with this one?
Yeah, Coke over the weekly breaks right around 53.77, it looks like.
Yep, 53.78. And that's actually a good spot because that's pretty close to the previous week's high as well.
It is.
So if it gets past there, it's probably going to move. However Coke moves, it'll probably move.
I mean, it has days where it can go, and there's some decent magnitude looking left.
Like on this day, it moved to $1.11. This day, $1.08. So yeah, it can move. $1.11. Yep. Friday, it moved 76 cents. Okay. Oh, so one thing to keep in mind too, like yes, we have the ATR on here for the daily range that it's doing, but you want to look at like an hourly range too, because as if you're day trading it, you want to look like, okay, what does it usually do in an hour? Well, let's see, Coke, 22 cents at 12:30. The last hour of the day, it moved 18 cents. If you're day trading this, are you going to be wanting to sit in this thing and have it only move like 20 cents?
No, it's not a good day trader. I mean, I
So that's,
guess
you
you
got to be
could
thinking about
with
those things.
magnitude. Yep, good point.
Like, don't just look at a daily chart and say, oh, this looks great. No, you have to think about it. Like, okay, well, what if I'm sitting in this? What is this going to be like? Probably not very fun.
No, it could be really boring. You're not gonna make
I
a
mean,
lot of
yeah,
money.
we're not here to be entertained. I get that, but like, you got to just project yourself out psychologically. How are you going to be able to handle this?
Oh, that's so true. Because if you exhaust your mental capital on something like this, like it wears on you as the week goes on.
I mean,
So
look at the 5 minute. This is a prime example. Do you see all this wicking going on?
that's nutty.
You got to put yourself in there. Like, if I was holding during this period, how would that feel?
Now, for me, Coke would be a longer term type of deal.
Like, when you look at stuff on the 5 minute or the 15 minute and you see this kind of action, you got to start questioning yourself. All right, am I the kind of person I'm going to be able to sit through that?
Yeah, no, not unless it's a swing. And I'm
All
going
right.
for bigger magnitude, let's say like January calls or something on it, which I don't know that I'd want to be going out that far right now.
All right, so Netflix. This one looks really good. We had double inside days.
And the second one closed up at the top of the range, so that's a pretty strong candle.
Yeah, this looks really good. I mean, it's a doji on the week, but and oh, wait a minute. So what's the high up here? 521. So yeah, there's plenty of range on this. Netflix is actually the stock that made me decide to start full time as a trader,
Oh yeah.
because I got in it. I must have had some size. I don't even remember, but I didn't even know what I was doing. I was holding it overnight during earnings.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And the next morning I made like 12 grand overnight.
Nice.
So it's like, hey, I could do this, no problem. I haven't had a day like that since.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've never had a day like that, so not at that level.
All right. So anyway, we like this daily above 503.34. Because it closed right near the top. This is a long. This would not be short at all.
Agreed.
Um,
Unless.
Yeah. There's no earnings. Oh yeah, it had earnings back in October, it looks like. So we don't have to worry about that.
Not until January for most things now. End of Jan.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. We can probably zip. It's rounding in on an hour now, so let's kind of zip through these pretty quickly.
Yep.
PDD. This was from my list, and I liked it because it was an inside and down. So if this does a 2 up tomorrow and it closed as a hammer, so there's a good chance that it will.
Right.
So that's why I like that. So above 150.12 is where I would take that. And it's already green. It's way above the opening price for the month. So as long as tomorrow it stays above the opening price and breaks this, I would want to participate in that. All right, PEP. This was on your list. I think.
Yeah, it's a lot like Coke.
Yep.
Pepsi moves a little more though, has a little more range. I've only ever swing traded Pepsi and Coke.
This is I like this is the kind of chart I like to see. I want to see a little corrective activity, and some range for it to go through. So anything like this, where it could go 2 back up, this is what I want to see, because we have some magnitude here that it can go through. So I look for this kind of thing when I'm looking at a
And
daily
the
chart.
ATR is about what, double what was Coke's ATR? Was it only
88 cents.
80,
So this
so
one's
it's more than double.
Yep. So this one
Of the two, I'd go
this
with
one could do
Pepsi.
something.
Yeah.
All right, so plug, I added this one, and I think the reason I did it is because it was a 1-2 down, similar idea as the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got some magnitude here. Although it is going to open inside tomorrow. It'll be inside on the week. So, and I don't like that the monthly is a doji either, but we already talked about that.
Yep. Could change.
ROST, this was one of yours. 2-2
Yep.
down, hammer, nice. $3 range. Wow.
I love Ross.
I wonder if this one has a big spread. I'll bet it does.
I've never traded it, but definitely possible.
So 112.95. It closes a hammer right at the top. So this is more along.
Yeah, whenever there's a big spread, I always get in with the limit order so I don't get killed. If it's a trade I really want to take.
All right, so TJX. Ooh, that looks ugly on the 5-minute. But let's see. So this was a 3-2 down. So if this does a 2 up, I like 1-2 down or 1-2 up, and then the reversal in the other direction, or like 3-2 down, 3-2 up, and a reversal in the other direction, because
Well,
that's
if you look at the weekly too, sometimes when you see that pattern, a strong 2 up with a doji, it's just an equilibrium candle before, it's breathing before it continues up. I've noticed that quite a bit. So
this next move could be a bigger move.
it could be a bigger move. Yeah.
So we're almost to the end of this list here.
On everything, on all
So
time frames.
So I just moved on to Tesla. $38 ATR on this guy. Inside day, very tight range last week, which is surprising.
I know.
Or, I'm sorry, on Friday it was a tight range. You know what? Based on the recent news with this one, I'm not convinced it's going to go up. I would watch both sides for this tomorrow.
I would too. This pattern on the weekly is interesting. We'll have to see.
I mean, look at that on the week. It opened and closed almost at the exact same spot.
Yeah.
And the month is the same. The month hasn't closed yet, but they both look very similar. So it's doing nothing.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it's also inside on the 195 minute, which just breaks the day and a half, basically. So you could trade off of that. Tesla has enough range as a day trader that you can, in my opinion, you don't have to worry as much about mother bars and all these kinds of things.
No, you're right.
When it wants to go, it's got enough range even on the day. So you could trade it to the short side on a break of 598.54 of the 195 minute.
598.54.
Into the upside at 615.64.
Drawing a blank here.
And I'm looking at the basically it's like a 4.5 uh, divides the day. Instead of doing a 4-hour chart where the trading day
Oh.
is in 8 hours, I was looking at the 195 minutes, so it's.
Okay. So what, 100, well, here's the 4-hour chart.
Yeah, it's a one, so it's going to be very similar.
So, okay.
My 4 hour.
6:15:50.
Yeah, I got 6:15:71, but close enough.
Yep. Yep.
And the downside 6:04:95.
Yep. 6:04:66 on the 4-hour chart.
Sometimes I look at the 95 minute because it divides the trading day in half, whereas the 4-hour obviously isn't a perfect half day.
All right. So we just have a couple more names and then we'll be done. So UAL, United Airlines, $2.43 on the range ATR. 50.35 would be the weekly high. So that would give us a 2 up. We already did a 2-2 reversal, but it came back inside.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow, 49, let's see, 49.89 would be the high that it would have to hit tomorrow. So, okay. This is a slightly lower priced name than a lot of them.
It is, yeah. It's got some decent range on it though, UAL.
Yeah.
For being a lower price stock, it really does.
Yeah, for a $50 stock.
2.5 points isn't bad.
So it sounds like this one is pretty self-explanatory. I don't see anything different. I mean, it's got quite a bit of range to the downside if it wanted to break that. I don't know. Well, it's a doji. It did end on a doji, so it could.
And I'm looking at the inside week on it.
Oh, so I guess we'll have to wait and have this open, see what it does.
See, is this one inside on the 195 too?
All right, so the last one from the list was WBA, William Baker Andy. $1.28 ATR.
Walgreen Boots Alliance. That is the bizarrest. Why is it called that?
So this is Walgreens?
Yeah, what happened to just regular Walgreens? Why is it Walgreens Boots Alliance? It just makes me, it sounds silly.
So what do we have here? We got a nice doji on the daily. 41.67 would be the high. Plenty of range.
And what I'd love to see it do is break that weekly inside candle to the upside, pivot machine gun up.
And that would be
But
43.33.
it's anyone's ball game right now, you know.
It closed closer to the bottom by the looks of it.
It could.
So yeah, you're right. This could drop tomorrow. Who knows?
I mean, when I look at it on the daily, that looks like
It wants to go back up, but you know what it is? The week closed near the bottom, but the daily okay, yeah, compared to what the week looks like, that daily looks strong.
mhm.
So I would tend to think it would be going up from there.
There's a lot of room to the upside on this one. This could be once again, a longer term swing kind of play. I've traded the options before, but it's been a very long time. And it's gone down so much in price, but this stock's
Oh
very
yeah,
inexpensive, you know.
look at this monthly. It used to be somebody.
It did. That'd be a possible pivot machine gun back to the upside.
Oh yeah. There's some beautiful stopping out action through there. Let's look at. Whew. Okay, so it already did the pivot machine gun on these days. All the way up to there.
Mm-hmm.
Collapsed again. So what is this? This is in the 60s. So this goes off my chart even. I don't have enough data to show that yet. But it would basically be retracing this for where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put it right up there. All right. So anybody have any tickers you want us to look at? We're at the end of our list. We don't want to have this go on for 2 hours or anything, but if you have anything else you want us to look at. What is it?
DBX, Dog Boy X-ray.
Oh wow. Okay, so weekly long green week. Month long green. This is exactly what Rob likes to see.
Yep.
Long and green or long and red.
And it used to be somebody too. There's a lot of room. If you look at the
The monthly
on this thing.
I know we're not supposed to be drawing trend lines, but I can't help it. I can see this. Oh, wait a minute. What just happened?
I still do. I think they help. I don't think there's any harm in drawing them. The harm is when you're putting all those indicators all over your charts and you can't see price action. That's the...
Yeah, like if you draw a trend line like this, as it's coming down, very often it's going to go right up to the line and reject it.
It does, yeah. It's uncanny almost how that happens.
I don't do this a lot, but if I'm seeing like something like this, I would want to see it get above that and hold it.
Yep.
With some kind of strat signal before I got involved. Because this kind of action right here is what kills you with the strat.
It does.
Goes up just a little bit and then flushes through.
Yep.
I actually thought about doing this a little more. If there's any other name we can pull up. What did we even say about this? It would have to go above this and hold it. And
the thing I do like about it, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, all green.
I mean, there's no reason, as Rob would say, there's no reason to believe this is going to go down. Everything is green.
Yep.
I mean, the buyers are in full control of this thing.
With lots of good magnitude.
So what you would want to watch out for on the daily, if you look, there's no recent range for it to go through. It's all down here. So there's nothing recent for it to do. In the sense of like this time frame, we're going into highs.
Yeah, and there's a gap here that it's partway in this gap. I mean, this looks like a good long to me. Do you see that on the daily back in August?
Yeah, right here. Yep. It's back in
so
August
it hasn't
6th.
filled that gap yet.
Yep.
I mean, obviously the gap looks bigger than it actually is.
So the way you would trade this, if this breaks the high tomorrow, don't just buy it right away. You want to see some kind of corrective activity. You want to see a pullback and then a reversal of some kind back in the direction of the main trend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how you participate in something like this. You didn't miss the entry. It's just, you got to be a little more careful when you get in now.
Yeah, especially because that last candle on the daily was pretty big.
That's a big candle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of volume too. So I've heard a hedge fund guy that I used to talk to, he would call this a reaction day.
Yeah, I would expect an inside day or a triangle layout kind of day, some corrective activity or a pause before it moves higher. But you never know with stocks, right? And that's the other key. You just got to watch and see what it does, because we can sit here and pontificate about what we think it's going to do or not do, and it's going to do what it wants to do. So our job is to read the reality of what happens tomorrow.
Yep. So like, what does Rob say? He says, you're better served if you stop trying to be in the prediction game. Yes, you make predictions and you make your trades based on those predictions, but you're better off looking at what a stock's doing and learning how to react better to what the price is doing.
Yep. Price action's king, always.
Like, learn how to react better, no predictions. So any others do we have?
What's the next two? That's right. Any other stocks, guys, that you want us to look at? Everybody exhausted?
We've been babbling for a while here. I think you're done.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, then we will see you trading well tomorrow.
All right.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, so is that... All right, I just stopped the share.
You stopped it, all right, cool. Oops.